the only thing that works.
Hello, good evening and welcome. This is the 23 podcast show, episode 16, with myself, your host, David Blair, and tonight we are joined by Paul Shields and Matt Diamond from Rebel City Podcast. How are you?
Not bad, mate.
Not bad.
I'm good, thanks, mate. I was out yesterday. I got a wee bit more of the sun, I suppose, than my body has been used to over the last few weeks. So been feeling a wee bit sunstrokey today. Not being 100%, but I've been trying to get a lot of fluids into me, which is I'm sure a lot of people are in the same boat with this fine weather.
I spent 2 days telling the missus to put sun cream on, and on the third day of the sun, she spent under the duvet because she was exactly in the exact same position there, where Scottish people, white pasty Scottish people, see the sun and it's just fuck it, let's go. Especially I think this, you know what I mean?
We'll never learn. I think squirrels learn quicker than us when it comes to being Scottish and being out in the sun. But hey ho, it's good at the time. It's like make hay while the sun shines, as they say. Regular viewers of the show will know it's just at this time that we just quickly need to go on to the 23 Universe live post. Give that a share on our own personal timelines. Feel free, you're tuning in, to start a watch party as well. Give it a share on your timelines. Let's get as many people in as possible for the show this evening. Okay, got that live now. Just have a wee musical accompaniment bit for this, but
a wee jingle.
Actually, I can. I just saved. There we go. We've got your.
I think squirrels learn quicker than us when it comes to for the show this evening.
A bit of lag coming through there. I could hear myself.
Strange break the fourth wall.
It was my big sausage fingers trying to work Facebook and failing.
Right.
I was looking at. I was like infinity there. I was looking at myself on the internet.
Your mirror trick.
It's very, very meta. So give us a shout in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from. The Facebook, Twitch, the YouTube. With the guy Jason on last night from Canada, who was tuning in for the bad Sunday sessions online that we had last night. That was very good.
Nice.
Colin Hunter, Stara Zagora, Becky Wallace and Rosie Bands. Some top quality musical entertainment.
Nice.
So you
absolutely none of that tonight.
Well, we can't play music videos. I know you have a musical background, Paul. So tell us a wee bit about that, just to kick things off.
I've played in bands for years, man. Like fucking. Aye, man, I was in a band called Ampersand for like 7 or 8 years and played at pretty much every venue, I think, up and down the country and up and down the UK. But aye, man, it was all very like Sabbath, and it was like, I think we were at the wrong time. Like there was the Strokes and Kings of Leon were kicking about, and we were trying to do like sort of Black Sabbath and shit like that. So, aye, man, I love music, man. It's like a massive part of my life. Like I've got about 20 bands tattooed on my arm.
I remember we were chatting about that. Aye.
It's like a musical. I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's just like all my tastes. But it's quite funny. The other day I was sitting down at the science centre, down at the observation tower. There's like a wee sort of bit where you can go and sit. It's quite nice in the sunshine. And there's a couple of guys listening to Rage Against the Machine. They were like, "Oh, you got a Rage Against the Machine tattoo?" And I was like, "It's probably more prevalent now than it fucking ever has been like that band." Do you know what I mean? And like the message of that band.
Totally.
Definitely.
But
So just to let the 23 Universe know a wee bit of the background here between myself and Paul and Matt. So they host have hosted since 2018 an excellent podcast called Rebel City Podcast. I'll link the sort of subvertising that you've done, the subversion of the Duke of Wellington statue there with the cone on its head. that's ready to take off. Is that what that symbolises?
Well, I mean, probably Paul's in a better position to answer that one. It was actually his girlfriend Sharon who does a lot of oil graphics pretty much and stuff like that. So it was just we knew we were going to do a podcast of, about Glasgow, and I think it was just that whole take as many of the images and try and put them together as possible. But again, he was there.
Yeah.
Aye, that's it. I mean, basically, it was just like a sort of try to bring together the idea of like that Glasgow is a bit of a rebel city, and a bit of just to try and bring that together with the sort of name of the podcast. And put the Duke of Wellington stuff on it. But it's pretty cool one. My missus does a lot of art. She's got like some cool stuff that's like prints and stuff that she's selling. It's all like sort of Glaswegian stuff. It's Sean Watson Art, if anybody wants to go and check it out.
Is that a website or a Facebook page or both? I'll give that a share in the comments.
It's on Instagram, and she's got a Twitter feed and stuff, but I think mainly on Instagram.
Okay. Sharon Watson Art, did you say?
Aye, mate.
Yep. Regular viewers of the show will know that so one of my missions, Sharon, what's on the art?
Watson.
Sharon Watson Art. Yeah, one of my missions with the 23 podcast show is also just sharing and introducing the work that various different creatives and other people, activists and stuff like that are doing as well. Connecting people and dropping various links into, like last night's was kind of like a Sunday session online, we call it, for amazing musicians. So obviously that was just some of them hadn't met one another before. They were being introduced to one another. But of cross-pollination. Now, the two of the musicians on last night, Becky and Rosie, they're in this songwriting group that they've got online just to keep themselves creative and still keep the songwriting going as well during lockdown. And yeah, like they loved what Colin and Sean were doing so much that they invited them, and like they're going to be joining the songwriting club as well. So it's definitely making a lot of good connections as well. So I've just found it. Sharon Watson Art, there we go. Inspired by my city and all the amazing people that make Glasgow. Peace and love, troops. Well, I like that message too. We certainly need a bit more peace and love in the world at the moment, anyway, don't we?
Absolutely, man. Like scary times.
I quite like it's getting beyond, isn't it?
I've been keeping an eye on, obviously, the show in the last couple of weeks alongside, You Call That Radio, and I've actually really enjoyed how, like, sort of collaborative these online spaces have created, where, a lot of the guests, like, coming in, yours have been, like, really rapid with, like, 5 nights a week, and, like, we do once a week, like, 5 nights a week, I think would probably kill me. I think I'd be 3 weeks in and I'd be done with podcasting, like, forever. Like, so, like, fair play to you. Like, that's something that we've talked about a lot in recent weeks, is that in the light of all that's going on, like, how do people adapt and evolve and change, but still keep creative, and especially when venues and stuff like that are shut, Like, so it's been quite enjoyable keeping an eye on what he's been up to.
Thank you very much. Well, thanks for tuning in. I can't even remember exactly when it was I was on your guys' show.
Quite early, I think. I think we were sort of
2018, was it?
Or so. Yeah.
How many have you done now?
This week's
80. Aye, episode 80.
Episode 80, and they're available on
everywhere,
YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Aye.
I'll give your YouTube channel a share there in the comments. So yep, all the previous shows are on the YouTube channel. Please give that a wee subscribe. Similarly, whilst I'm at it, if you've not given the 23 Universe YouTube channel a wee subscribe, I'll drop that into the comments too. Feel free to check it out. It was a question I don't think I'd asked you guys when I was on, so like being on the other side and being a guest, I suppose, as well. It wasn't something that had automatically came to mind, but for myself being furloughed, I was 11 weeks on lockdown yesterday. I suppose really, I've said this before, but I mean, if I hadn't have brought this out of hibernation from the one that we had been filming in our Crown Point Studio, beginning of last year, and then in the Barrowland Ballroom. I just had to do something to be creative and save my sanity, for want of a better phrase, this month. So what was the genesis of why did you guys start the Rebel City podcast?
Well, I mean, I was mad into podcasting. Or just watching podcasts in general. And I think like having been, like you were saying earlier, like being playing in bands and stuff like that, like I'd been used to having a creative outlet, and I didn't really have much of a creative outlet for probably best part of 2 years, and I just kind of felt it. In the sort of 2 year gap, I had my own sort of battle with addiction, and had come through the other side of that, and just decided that I wanted to do it, just because it was something that I was like big into, and really like just wanted to get Matt involved. Just wanted to get Matt involved because I wanted to have like something that connected me with like a really good mate. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that in that sort of 2 year gap I was talking about, I'd kind of like moved away from my social scene just to sort of focus on myself, and this was a way to sort of try and reconnect it, and get Matt involved. So just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to start a podcast. I googled, would I need to start a podcast? And I had everything through being in bands. I had an interface, I had mics, I had cables. I thought, right, you know what, I'm just going to get a go, and then just roll the dice.
Yep.
It was quite interesting. I mean, I'm on the opposite end of it, where I think I'd seen maybe like a couple of episodes of Joe Rogan or something like that. I was aware of podcasts. I'd watched some of like Ricky Gervais over the years and whatnot. But I wouldn't have said I was like big into it. So when he kind of came to us, I was like, do you know what? Sort of try something new. And then I think for the point that we agreed to do it, every time we kind of come up with an idea or suggested something to each other, it just like clicked and it just moved forward quite quickly for there, didn't it?
Yeah. As they say, it was an idea whose time had come for you guys.
I'm quite enjoying it. I mean, I'd done a wee bit of telly and radio in my sort of uni years, like volunteering at various places and stuff like that. So I had like a wee tiny bit of experience and build up to it, but nothing that prepared us for what's obviously happened since. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm impressive to be on 80 episodes now. You're also on the Twitter as well, so I'll give that a share in the comments as well. If you're on Twitter, please give them a follow. So who was your very first guest?
We just did the first one by ourselves, didn't we?
Us. Aye, we did.
It's like an introduction, who we are, this is why.
Pretty much, aye. I think we did like 25 minutes, and we had like chapter and verse with that a band that Paul knew for his days gigging, who were up in Glasgow, and they were going to be episode 2 guests. So we had like a wee 5 minutes aside to show their video and the build up to it. So I think we did like 26 minutes to start with, left space for the video, went back up the stairs in the flat, and we're sitting kind of like, that was like really enjoyable. Like, do you want to just date an hour? Because I think we'd originally kind of went, we'll go for half an hour because we don't want to be pure boring people or whatever. And then after doing that first episode where we did essentially 2 half-hour episodes that we smashed together, it was pretty much the hour after that.
Okay. So who was guest number 2? Or who was your first guest?
The first, we had that chapter and verse for a metal band for London that I had met through just doing a gig and had thought they were really good. And they were coming up to play in the garage. I think they were doing a support slot in the garage. I thought, get them on, have a chat to them. I think it really surprised me, like just like what Matt's saying there, like how enjoyable it was just to sit down and talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Like you kind of like take it for granted. You sit down with your mates and you just talk, and you can talk for hours just talking shite. But something is really sort of enjoyable, like connecting with somebody, like on a sort of conscious level, where you're not just talking for the sake of talking, you're actually like having purposeful conversations. I still probably, I've never really figured out what it actually is, but there's something really good about it. I love like meeting new people. I think before I did the podcast, if I was meeting somebody new that I knew nothing about every week, I'd be like, don't know. It's not really me type thing. It's not really that into
Can I
that
imagine
stuff,
meeting people? You can't imagine meeting people in a social sense once a week, every week for 80 weeks. But I doing it in the context of the podcast, it somehow is different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the last guest you had on? When was that? Was that pre-lockdown now, I'm guessing? Or have you continued them online?
No, I've been keeping going with a guy called Jamie Cook, who he's been on a couple of times before, but he's basically like one of Scotland's experts in basic income and universal basic income, which is something that me and Matt have been talking about on the podcast for probably like the full 2 years that we've been doing it. It's went from being a sort of very, very fringe idea on the sort of periphery of politics through Andrew Yang's campaign in America getting massive backing and funding for Silicon Valley, and now we're talking about a situation that's tailor-made for it. So it's one of these things that me and Matt keep on having weird conversations and weird things happening, like we get somebody on the podcast and then 2 weeks later they're on the BBC. I think that's happened about fucking a good 30 or 40 times. So I don't know if somebody's watching the podcast or if it's just that we've got a decent eye for what's coming out of the horizon. But
yeah. Well, that's the thing with conversations at that level as well. It's certainly when you are introducing yourself to new ideas, then again, sometimes it feels as if there is stuff, as you say, it's just bubbling away underneath the surface, and sometimes all it needs is just a bit more exposure. It's kind of like there is kind of like a collective, like a Jungian collective consciousness to it as well, like the 100th monkey syndrome they call it as well. That just like once enough people start talking about something, then it can then almost like achieve that critical mass where they're talking to someone else, and I think it's also just like the power of the internet as well, like how quickly ideas can now be spread. It's instantaneous as well. So more power to you for what you are doing. Just quickly go to the comments there. Just say hello to who we've got tuning in. We've got Gary Penders. How you doing, Gaz? Sharon up in sunny Fife. She's got some tan. She's well happy. Gary's in sunny Springburn as well. David's asking me to check my PMs. Okay, I'll do that. Is David one of your pals?
No, I'm just in sunny Springburn.
All right, you're in sunny Springburn. Where are you, Paul? Oh, you're the West End, aren't you?
I'm at Charing Cross.
Charing Cross.
You were there? Like,
I know. Just in case you had moved, just double checking. I do remember. I came in and I hadn't bought a parking ticket. I remember that when I came out. I was like, oh fuck, man! I wonder if I've got a parking ticket. I just didn't realise that it was metered. But I think at the moment they've suspended parking meter charges. Have you heard about that?
Don't have a motor, so don't care. No, I have not. Absolutely have not. Nah.
Glasgow City Council. Do you not? Okay. Glasgow, for any drivers, maybe worthwhile double checking, but Glasgow City Council did announce earlier during the lockdown that they were suspending all parking charges in case any of our NHS or whatever were having to do extra work and stuff like that, and they were wanting to support the NHS doing what they're doing.
I read a really interesting thing. Well, definitely. On the sort of parking side of things in the council, I did read that they were talking about throwing something like 25 extra kilometres of road open to pedestrians and sort of cycle on the other side of lockdown, which I thought was quite good. I mean, we had an episode sort of 30-40 in with the deputy head of Glasgow City Council, and one of the big things he'd said about Glasgow's future was that going forward they want to pedestrianise everywhere they can. So I think coronavirus seems to have maybe jump-started some of the sort of structural change in the city centre that might make us a bit more green and a bit more kind of pedestrian-friendly and whatnot. Okay,
well that's certainly one impact, one cause and effect of it. I'd read a few really interesting. One was global carbon emissions are down 17% as a result of this. Jeff Bezos had made $25 billion or something like that over this quarter. With
World's first trillionaire.
Yep, with the shift to from physical to more online retail. But as physical retailers, they'd seen their sales slump by 25% over the same quarter. There was this digital analyst who was on the Six Music News. It was after what's his name again? He does the music news with Sean Keaveney usually. Used to be the drummer in Menswear. Oh, I've taken a mental block in his name now. Matt. It's
no,
well, he was talking, just about giving some headline information about what's happening with our live music venues. So let's say it was about 750 live music venues throughout the UK that are members of the Music Venue Trust, and I think it was like about 520 of them had applied or said that they needed emergency funding, otherwise they were under very or close to immediate threat of closure. So they did some fundraising for that. Shout out to Luke Gibson from Local Volpe. He started a thing called Sofa Phone Sing Along, which went out in the King Tut's Wallahut page and gigs in Scotland, I think, and overall UK wide they raised about 1.5 million. Even at that figure, that was roughly only enough to give help, financial assistance to about 120 of them. So it's really grim times.
Aye, man, definitely. I mean, we were talking about this, weren't we, Matt? There's going to be so much this that we just don't know, that furlough and the government money's just propping up failed businesses left, right and centre, that when we get out the other side of this, we were getting loads of news about the unemployment rate in America, but really that's just their upfront numbers, isn't it? We just don't know what lies at the other side of the government spending billions propping up failed businesses, but we'll deal with that. We'll cross that fucking bridge when we come to it. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, it's coming, isn't it? Andy McKeown, wow, this is amazing. The 3 amigos. Thanks very much, Andy.
Sure, we're cheering them up.
Quite pleased by with some of the venues. I mean, I know in the last, I think, watching it over the weekend, the last 10 weeks, the fundraising run about the Stand Comedy Club has been absolutely spectacular. The lineup, especially the lineup at this weekend, but I know there's been some really high profile comics really sort of mobilising to get behind, the 3 comedy venues they operate in the UK. So I would hope that the venues that we all had there, places like the bars, some of the other legendary ones, garages and sleazies and whatnot, or in Glasgow, don't have to rely on begging bowls. You know what I mean? Like, we need to, have something better in place, because I get that entertainment venues are probably the last thing on the government's mind at the minute, but as normality means having social time and actually going out and enjoying, what these venues offer us. So if they're not there on the other side of this, what do you do? You know what I mean?
I know.
Where does it go?
It's quite a frightening prospect, isn't it? Particularly like we know. I mean, Glasgow's an official UNESCO City of Music. So many questions. If you've got any questions for the guys, feel free to drop them in the comments. Hello to Bob. Bob's tuning in from Leith. I'm sure there was a lot of sunshine over Leith. Jason's back. Oh, that was Jason from British Columbia. Was tuning in last night for the live music. It's sunny here in Van City, British Columbia. The rain is gone. Glad to hear it. It's Fiona Jones. Hello, Fiona. Just down at Dumfries Community Radio. John Baird. How you doing, John? Thanks for tuning in. There's Paul Armour. John Baird.
John Baird, aye. Right, John.
Is he?
Aye.
All right, Johnny boy. I didn't know there was a family link there. Paul Armour. How you doing, Paul? In Moodiesburn. And Sex Music News. I think that's Fiona with her South African accent there. Matt Everett, that's his name. I've taken a mental block on that. Thanks, Sean. How could I forget? Matt Everett.
Participation for
yes, it's there.
We need to own this shit, by the way. Like, anytime we get stuck on the show, we can just throw it to the audience. We're missing a trick here.
Well, it's good as well. Like, obviously, I know you both love music as well. So So we can actually we can have a wee musical interlude just whenever we want to go and grab another drink. For me, get a wee green tea top up. You guys, if you're needing a wee toilet break or whatever. The guy earlier on that had commented, David, he's actually PM'd the 23 Universe page. There's he sent us some music video. I'm not actually sure what it is, but I'll give that a check anyway. Maybe just during like one of the wee breaks. What about your old bands? Have you still got any videos on YouTube, Paul?
Honestly, man, like it was before YouTube and shit. I mean, I think one of the last band I was in, Paradigm Shift, we had a video kicking about somewhere and we had an album out and stuff like that. But I mean, when I was in Ampersand, it was very much pre-YouTube, and it was like MySpace. That was like the big thing when we were kicking about. We used to go and
Bebo.
I think at the start of Bebo maybe, but I checked out of social media for a while after Bebo. I was like, everybody migrated to Facebook. I was like, fuck this, I'm not fucking going across. And then had to like get forced to. Do you know what I mean? But
I was the same.
No, we've got nothing kicking about. Thankfully, because I was a fucking state back then as well, just a different state.
As we all were. Well, you were mentioning the stand there. I was chatting to my pal Darren Connell yesterday. Darren's a outstanding stand-up comedian. Does a bit of acting as well. The old acting. He plays Bobby in Scott Squad. Darren was supposed to be my guest tomorrow night, but today, myself, our band, a sort of wider consensus across the music industry, there's actually been a campaign started in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter campaign. So tomorrow is Music Industry Blackout Tuesday. We're taking a day to reflect on June the 2nd, 2020, in support of Black Lives Matter with the collective music industry. We thank you for taking part in this day with us. We thank you for your continuing to use your platform to shine a spotlight on this urgent issue. This is everybody's problem. The show must be paused. So Darren supporting the cause as well, and he was in agreement about me just having joining in and having a social media blackout. The show must be paused tomorrow to stand in solidarity with all of the victims of oppression, racism, fascism across the world, but in particular, like the scenes that we've been seeing recently. It's just I'm struggling for words actually to talk about it at the moment.
It's been pretty staggering to look at the images that we've been seeing, particularly over the weekend. And we touched on it with Jamie in this week's episode. Jamie spent a lot of time in America working on UBI and stuff like that. So obviously we wanted to kind of, relate his experience to, having been there and whatnot. If there's any encouragement to take out of it, it's how widespread people's outrage is on it finally. Because I don't know, it's something that is institutional, it's something that is really, kind of ethereal in a lot of senses to some people, even if they themselves maybe hold outdated views that they aren't they malicious about, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of structural things, and I think that there seems to be some sort of appetite to actually maybe hopefully start to address them finally, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Seems strange that there can be like some kind of sort of pushback against people, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's so blatant, like the prejudice against people of colour in America is so fucking blatant, and still they get pushback for people sort of getting at the whole sort of, well, every life matters. It's just like, fucking take your head for a shite, mate. Like, for fuck's sake. Can we not just like,
that's not what we're talking about right now.
Exactly. Can we not just come together on, like, we can't even come together without politicising a pandemic. Do you know what I mean? Now we're politicising people's lives that are being murdered on camera. Do you know what I mean? Like, by people that are supposed to be there to protect you. It just, it's so sad. Like, it's just so sad that we still need to like see this, and we still haven't dealt with this. It's fucking 2020. Man, it's just really, really sad. But I mean, it seems to have took a pandemic to give people the sort of breathing space to actually like take something like this on board and actually get behind it. So I'm with Matt. It's been good to see people actually sort of take this on board this time, but hopefully it's not another false dawn. I know there's a lot of protests that are happening worldwide. I know there's one in Glasgow Green on Sunday, I think, this Sunday. How they're going to police social distancing in a lot of protests, who knows? God knows. But we were saying on the podcast yesterday, we're just behind it. As much as they've been painted as like looters or thugs or whatever it is that might be get said against, like, this is people out there protesting for their basic human rights.
Yep, exactly.
The fact that it's escalated to civil disobedience tells you it's not. Like, fair enough. People are saying it's about looters. I think it's about a genuine expression of anger. Like, these people look at how the corporations that own these, businesses and, stores that have, paid them poverty wages at other days. And like, when they have this anger that's bubbled over, like, they've, lashed out at the people that they think are at least partially responsible for the situation they're in. You know what I mean?
Totally agree, yep. You were talking about your Rage Against the Machine tattoo there earlier on, Paul. I mean, their lyrics, it just seems will never become dated at all, because everything that they like, something must be done about victims of vengeance, a badge and a gun. I mean, there you go. That just sums it up.
I know.
Accurately.
A lyric fucking written 20 years ago still is cutting the day. It says I think that's what makes me most angry is that we just don't learn from history. We just keep repeating the same mistakes there and there again, and keep believing the same bullshit that gets fed to us and again. We don't really do much about it, but hopefully in the internet age and the information age, we can do something about it. We can get past trolls and we can get past misinformation and actually like make some real fucking change.
Yeah, because I mean, it's so much based in ignorance. I remember growing up, being a Liverpool supporter for as long as I can remember, and one of my heroes in the 80s was John Barnes, and I just couldn't understand why people would want to make reference to his skin for like being any different. Like to me, obviously, he's another Liverpool player, and then even like up here in Glasgow, obviously, you've seen like the terrible abuse that like Mark Walters and Paul Elliott used to get, and like even in the playground, like it's just something. I just knew that like people saying like all the various different words that you would say as but just purely based on ignorance in so many people's cases. But then if you're not told that's wrong and told why it's wrong at a young enough age, then it just becomes ingrained. And then as people progress through their lives, that becomes a part of their character. And then sadly, then for some, it's attached to malice as well. And we look at our institutions as well.
I think that the attitude wise, I think that's something that the pendulum's kind of swung a wee bit on, because I remember growing up in schools where, as you say, racist or what would now be deemed inappropriate language was, rife. Like, you heard it in everyday life. And as it moved away from that, like, we have seen massive improvements, in our experience anyway, but I think this comes from like leadership, as you say, for somebody to say to you, this isn't cool, like, this is out of order, like, this is unacceptable, like, we won't tolerate this in society. But we now live in a world where, as that pendulum swung back to where it came through, we're met with guys like Trump and Johnson. And I think it's quite telling that Johnson has still no tweeted or expressed any kind of Black Lives Matter sympathies in the last few days, to my knowledge. You know what I mean? We're seeing world leaders and people en masse everywhere throwing their hands up there and saying, this is bullshit, this isn't acceptable anymore. But the Prime Minister of the UK is like 6 weeks ago, he was like, these immigrants saved my life, I love them. Where is it today? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he is openly on record as being racist anyway. So,
extremely.
Where does he go from there? What I don't know if he's managed to. It was behind a paywall, but someone I know went and shared it. But when they had the big Sunday Times expose of where the Tory government went missing in the character assassination of Johnson, dealing with the COVID pandemic. And there was a senior civil servant quoted as saying that all their worst fears about Johnson came true, in terms of he just totally carried the air in the actions or inaction a lot of the time and they described him as like the chief executive of a county borough council in the 80s, who basically would do whatever they could not to be behind the head honcho's desk, finishing early on a Friday. Don't contact me over the weekend. Just like, that's it. Like, if my laptop's down over the weekend, I'm off. I'm away to wherever I'm away to over the weekend. And so you're probably not likely to get much out of him.
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. The guy's a serial failure. He's one of these guys who's indicative of the class that he comes with, because all he's done is invent quotes and tell lies in newspaper articles, cheat on wives. He's failed up through his entire career, even at the point where he finds himself now in a position, and that lack of responsibility, or wanting to be responsible for the position he's in, is painfully evident in how much power and authority he delegates to guys like Dominic Cummings.
Oh, totally. He's just incredibly adept. Actually, it reminds me, like, when you see the relationship between Cummins and Johnson playing out, it really, really reminds me of Boy Bush and his vice president, who was Dick Cheney, who was the shareholder in Halliburton, where his wife was like vice president. And look at like the contracts that Halliburton got to rebuild Iraq after they went in there. And I mean, I think Boy Bush was the first president in office who had not been in office more than he actually had throughout his first term, and on the golf course and all the rest of it. And
people are looking back with misty eyes at George Bush because of the fucking absolute shit show that Trump. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we loved W. It's like, that guy was a fucking warmonger and an absolute scumbag. Like, we can't. We're in danger of doing that here as well, where we're looking back and going, maybe Tony Blair wasn't that bad, man. This is how bad the fucking world's getting.
Should we just let David Cameron stay?
That's
what it's going to come down to. It's like, remember David Cameron? He was a good PM.
Have you seen?
Let's forget he fucked a pig's head, but apart from that, he was all right.
There's a sliding scale here, you know what I mean? Like 100,000 deaths, like bestiality, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've seen it, the Vice President movie, the Vice with Dick Cheney. It was Christian Bale and Sam Rockwell plays George W. Bush Jr. Oh my God, it's hilarious. It's like a fictional account of Dick Cheney's life, and they just absolutely rinse him. So they just take his entire career to bits. And it is that he was, Palpatine, like George Bush's Vader. You know what I mean? Like, he was the one pulling the strings. But like, I've watched a couple of times now, and I would highly recommend anybody that has an interest in that time to definitely check it out.
What was it called again?
Just Vice.
Vice.
Aye, like Christian Bale's what's
Did you watch it in the cinema, or is it on like Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that at the moment? Do you know?
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I think Amazon's got it now. Aye. I've seen it for Amazon, but it's definitely it's hilarious. They kind of preface it right up front with like, so basically none of this is true, but this guy's so much a dick that you're probably going to believe it all anyway, and then they just roll straight into the movie, and you're just like, they don't show him any respect whatsoever. I mean.
So just go. We've got a few comments there sitting in there. Bob, I heard a quote saying you can't like black culture but hate black people. Sharon, look at that Sheku bio killed by the police in Kirkcaldy. That wouldn't have happened if he wasn't black. Yeah, I suppose that's every life matters. Correct, every life does matter, Fiona. That's Barry, myself and Harold standing against racism. Stephen, sorry lads to butt in. I wear my Confederate flag round my neck since the General Lee. Does that make me racist? It's up for you to decide, Stephen, isn't it? We don't know you. There's John, Chief Executioner Boris.
No knowns. This was the other one. What's his name? Cheney's other pet. Can't remember him now.
No. Donald Rumsfeld.
That's the one.
Same shit been going on here since Maggie. There definitely has been a lot of shit going on. Actually, I seen Lemmy tweet the other day there, bring back Thatcher.
There's that misty-eyed sentiment we're just talking about. Let's draw the line at Thatcher, though.
I know history books are going to get rewritten, and they by the worst is yet to come. Like, for fuck's sake. But like Thatcher.
Well, there's an interesting viewpoint there from Fiona. As a South African, having grown up during the apartheid years, worked as a volunteer during the first democratic elections in 1994, never ever seen such blatant open racism from country leaders in our world. Retaliation, such anger against the society that in this day and age is totally unacceptable. Every life matters, and I'm still lost for words at that video. As many people are, it really is. It's shocking, absolutely shocking.
I can imagine what she's saying there. Like, I would love to see the type of reconciliation that went on in South Africa when apartheid came to an end. There would have been loads of anger, but the overwhelming sort of, aim there was to put their society back together. And I think that's something that South African society has benefited from ever since. You know what I mean? Like, it's just I don't see where the space for that reconciliation is at the minute between the black community and the American sort of authorities and system. Like, but it's definitely something that there's a model, there's an actual template for how people resolve their issues on this one. Like, I'd like to see it went on a bit more.
It's a shame when you hear people having conversations in America about the compensation or something where people are asking for healthcare. But you're like, is that really reparations? Like reparations to the black community, give everybody healthcare? You're like, really, man? Like, fucking hell! Like, I think we don't live in the same world that they do in America. Like, the working class of the UK don't live on the same planet as the working class in America, or like the underclass in America. When you think about that, they've got like cities of homeless people in like California. Like, we don't have anything like that here. We watch, like, we're looking on and kind of like, this is rough and this is bad. It's the tip of the iceberg there. They've got hundreds of thousands of people dying through heroin overdoses. They've got a drug pandemic that's been hitting them. They've got an economic crisis that's been hitting them, and we don't get told the full story out here. Like, we genuinely don't. And like, this is just, I think like they're on the verge of something that could be absolutely devastating for that country if they don't tread very, very carefully here. And I don't know what the answer is either. Like Matt's saying, how do you rebuild trust for a community of people that have been lied to, stolen for, and blatantly killed in front of like their community for 150 years now? Like, how do you rebuild that trust? It's going to be mammoth, like a mammoth task.
Sorry, on you go, Paul.
No, on you go, man. But there you go. Like, they've built Space Force. This is it. Like, they spend trillions and trillions of dollars a year on gone and for nothing. I mean, there was once was there no 60 trillion black hole in their economy where money was just like flooding out of over the course of 5 years. They'd lost like some crazy number, 5 trillion, 50 trillion. I don't even know. Like, can't even remember. But they've got literally like pouring money out of their economy, and people are suffering. But they build stuff like Space Force. Like, what's the fucking point in that? Like, Elon Musk is trying to put a fucking car on Mars. You're like, mate, you're one of the world's wealthiest people. Give something back to the fucking community, you cunt, for fuck's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I actually seen quite a cool thing on this for the week. It was Netflix are doing a thing, History 101, and they did a bit on NASA. One of the episodes was about the history of NASA and space exploration and blah blah blah. And what it did was actually compare NASA's budget to what the actual cost of resolving world hunger would be. And they're saying that NASA thinks something like 60 billion a year, but $137 billion would resolve world hunger. So if you defund NASA for 3 years, there's the potential that they go and do it. It's just political choices are made, and we don't. The resources already stop these things.
Yeah, it's the famous Bill Hicks quote, isn't it? It's just a ride. We can change it any time we want. How about taking all that money we spend in defence every year and instead spend it feeding, clothing and educating every single poor person in the world, which it would do many times over. Not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, inner and outer, forever in peace. And that still echoes as truly today as it does back then. And interesting Rage Against the Machine like there. I discovered Bill Hicks through Rage Against the Machine because they give him a credit in the liner notes of the debut album.
Along with the IRA.
Did they not give a shout
Careful,
for
Paul, we're already on a few lists.
Bobby Sands. I'm sure Bobby Sands is in there.
Well, as they say, one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. Stephen's just qualifying. Well, come on to that in a second. Stephen's just qualifying what he said earlier on. He's not getting any ill feelings for anyone apart from Thatcher. He's not a telly guy at all, so don't hear the lies his government pass on to the whole world. Well said, big guy with a beard. God bless you. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of propaganda on the television. I've not owned a television since 2012, so I get my news from other places as well. Thatcher's obviously left her legacy. Bring back Obama, it would certainly be better than Trump at the moment anyway. Well said, man, from Bob. John, when judges are handing out super injunctions to keep pedos' names out of the media, what chance do we have? Well, there is that as well. I mean, even here in the UK, we have the D notice, which without the media obviously even being able to report on something, then the government, if it's a threat to national security, can slap a D notice on it. So we don't have a free press in this country. I think that's one of the illusions of our so-called democracy. And when in the US you've got like your something like 90% of the media is owned by just like 6 companies or something like that. It's a crazy skewed fact anyway. So there's obviously there's a manipulation of the medium that the message is coming out on, and a manipulation of the truth. And I mean, even Jim Morrison said, whoever controls the media controls the mind. So I do say throughout throughout my episodes, it's a great quote from Timothy Leary: "Think for yourself and question authority." And again, that also is certainly truer today than it was when he said that. As part of the 60s counterculture movement as well. Like we know there is obviously lies being told, so whatever information is coming into us through our own individual reality tunnels, like we have our own perception bias on all of them as well, based on everything that we've ever learned in the past and can remember, and whatever prejudices we might have as well. So everybody's got their own version of the truth, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say here. But I mean, Trump's version of the truth at the moment, his tweet there classing the whole Antifa movement, the anti-fascist movement, as being terrorists. Yeah. Basically, what he's saying is any World War II surviving soldier in the USA who fought against the Axis powers and Nazism as a terrorist sitting collecting their pension in the USA. He's mental.
Yeah.
He's lost it. He's absolutely lost it.
Completely.
I would say we've definitely been accused of being terrorist sympathisers a few times, but it's nice to finally take that step up to the Champions League being an actual terrorist, because why would you be like anti-fascist? You know what I mean? Like, the opposite is that you are a fascist, you know what I mean, or at least a pro-fascism. And I don't know how somebody hasn't just taken the phone out of his horn, because he's an absolute clowny, a human being. Like, his wars with, this week Twitter I mean, so the thing that gives him his actual power, the platform that allows him to like magnify his bullshit to like 75 million people and beyond, and he's there picking a fight because they went, maybe this is questionable. They didn't. This is a lie. Well, you might want to fact check this. Or words to that effect on 2 of his tweets, and now he wants to burn their house down as well. And you're like, but can you imagine what a Trump presidency would be without Twitter? You know what I mean? Like, especially in like a post-COVID world where he can't go and have all these big rallies, he'd just be a fucking old dude in a room to himself. You know what I mean? Like, he'd totally lose his power over people. I don't see why he's even picking the fight. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. Well, I mean,
it's a 2016 playbook. I mean, he's going through conspiracy. He's throwing everything out there and hoping that something lands somewhere. Do you know what I mean? It's been beautifully orchestrated. Like, I don't think that the guy's actually been, if he is let loose the way, like, and he's went rogue on his Twitter feed or whatever, it's getting green lit. Like, there's no way that they're letting this fucking idiot sit and just spew this nonsense out there. Like, there is a team behind everything. He doesn't sit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just,
even with all the spelling mistakes and stuff like that.
Aye. It's all like, if it's getting out there, it's been allowed to get out there.
Covfefe.
Oh yeah, Pizzagate, Obamagate, is all like.
Thanks, Fiona. See you later. So just giving a wee. That's Fiona. She's got to go.
Somebody's getting sick of the politics and conspiracy chat, but no, like, I genuinely think that everything's all like too orchestrated for him to be just being left with a phone and just spewing out shit. I think that they green light it.
I think some of the racist stuff, like, so I think it was like on the John Oliver show this week, they were saying that, you know, he's put that "when they're looting, we start shooting" as a really sort of famous quote for a racist sheriff in America back in the 60s. Now, this clown can't hold a cohesive sentence on any subject ever. Like, seeing you've actually seen him on camera, heard him anywhere, like, he can't talk. He doesn't know anything. So the notion that he's picking these word-perfect racist sort of dog whistles out, I definitely think there's somebody there doing that. But I think Covfefe and that type of shit is like him locking himself in a White House toilet being like, pure right, I've got 5 minutes.
Got a few comments here. We'll just go to Stephen saying, thanks lad, be safe if you have to be, just jam on and be happy. Christopherson wrote, don't let the bastards get you down, and that's the way I am. Good night, lads. Thanks for tuning in again. Thanks very much, Stephen. Good night anyway. Daniel was saying there the bullshit started long before the Bull Trump guys. Undeniably, Daniel. Oh yeah. I don't think anybody's under any illusion about that. I mean, even when if you just take Trump as a starting point, Obama was actually engaging in more active combat zones per country than any other president up to that point. Obama was the one who came in. He didn't shut down Guantanamo, as he'd promised. Obama came in. He then had his Kill Switch Tuesday, his sign-off lift for the drone teams out at Fort Knox. So he's actually signing off on so-called terrorists with intel that's been tortured out of people in Guantanamo to just blow up goat herders in Afghanistan and their families with drones in the names of the war on terror. And then before that, well, obviously, Boy Bush's 2 terms. Where do you start with him? And then before him, well, fucking Clinton with Monica Lewinsky, and then Daddy Clinton Bush and his.
Clinton used Columbine as an excuse to fucking carpet bomb Kuwait or something. Do they know drop more bombs in that 24 hours after that massacre? So they're all just as bad as each other. Yeah. I think Trump is a direct response to Obama. Obama was such a disappointment when they voted in Barack Obama. They thought they had voted in somebody who was actually going to change things. He said all the right things in the campaign. He did fuck all. Now, whether or no the guys go in and been told, none of that happens, mate. Like, you're the president. Like, you're a figurehead. You're nothing. Like, fuck off back out and do your speeches. Or whether or no he's been full of shit for the start, who knows? But I think you don't have Trump without Obama.
Obama was in a big sense.
Massive. I think he was slaughtered But at the same
Republican
time,
senates and stuff like that just absolutely minced his whole program. You know what I mean?
but I think like
Including,
Trump becomes directly after Obama because he was such a big disappointment to the people that voted him in, and somehow Trump and the Christian right in America have managed to convince working class people, well, former middle class people that lost tons of money and lost property back in the 2008 financial crash, that Trump is somehow some kind of like man of the people.
Yeah,
The guy's an actual psychopath. Like, he can't even admit that he's like old or that his hair's fucking fake. I mean, whatever that thing is, they see anybody that goes to that amount of trouble to think that they look good or look presentable is a fucking idiot anyway. Why would you vote for them? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's crazy. But I mean, we might end up with another 4 years. I mean, we're sitting here in the middle of a global pandemic where he's done so much bad for that country, and it's still a possibility that he might win in November. It's like, what do you do with that? Like, what can you do?
Joe Biden's not having a great time. Like,
no, he's not, and that's. I think there's a great quote by Frank Zappa in terms of government is the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex.
and
I
we've
think
compared to wrestling many a time.
Well, there you go. I mean, Trump actually was in the wrestling, and he made Vince McMahon his new business czar or something like that. Was that right?
You said that last week, yeah?
I think he did. He made Vince McMahon his business czar.
Like
John
Vince McMahon and Dana White are like the economic fight back against the global pandemic. A guy that fucking ripped off every wrestling company in America. You can go and watch any documentary about how much a shyster Vince McMahon was when he was coming up. I mean, they're all just crooks. These people are literally like made billions ripping people off in the 80s and 90s during like mass growth, and now these are the people that will go sitting at the table deciding how we fight back against a fucking pandemic.
I know. There's a great
mental.
There's a great piece by George Monbiot, which a video. We've had some issues. I've been sharing. It's quite difficult actually sometimes to gauge what videos we can get away with actually playing without copyright infringement. Usually like a lot of unsigned music and stuff like that as well. I'll check out that video that David McKeown has sent us there. Thanks, John. More informative than the BBC, certainly more interesting. Don't worry, we're not going to charge you for a licence either. Bob, radical, especially change or action relating to or affecting the fundamental nature of something far-reaching or funner. We certainly need radical change just now. Thanks, Daniel. Well said, guys. You'll do as your tell, pal. That's a good reference there. Obama equals New Labour. Your Uncle Scotty, jump off just now, Matt. See you on the flip side. Thanks, John. Thanks for tuning in. But there's obviously a lot of amazing music in the underground scene of Glasgow. Just on a musical note. Any sort of favourite bands or like the last bands that you maybe checked out locally? Because we could get away with maybe just sticking on a wee video from one of them if they're not on a major label, for example.
So I think the biggest one that was, in terms of the podcast for us, we go Tom Maguire and the Brassholes on one week.
Previous guest on this podcast,
and we were quite, looking forward to it a lot, seeing the Ric Flair video. But it wasn't until the actual day, the episode, that I listened to the album start to finish on the way across to Paul's, and I remember texting him being like, "Peter, this album is absolutely dynamite," and you were obviously sitting listening to it pretty much at the same time, and actually then having Tom straight in after the two is just being completely blown away by the album was pretty cool, and we've followed them since. Like, they're just absolutely dynamic group of musicians, man.
They are. Very much so. One of my favourite bands in Scotland right now. Well, if not Scotland, the world anyway, but Scotland's the world to me anyway at the moment. This is as far as I'm going to go for the time being. They also they released a brilliant kind of A and B side type project One was called, or the A side was called Caveman, and the other side was called Battle Weapons. So just reading from their YouTube there. Caveman, one part dark, earnest, heartbroken soul. The other super immediate high energy blast of shameless good time funk, representing a dichotomy that exists in the band and is an undeniable aspect of the human condition. A fact that is often left unacknowledged, that joy and sadness can exist in the same entity and need not be exclusive. Sadness and darkness are real and ought to be recognised, but not at the exclusion of joy and fun, a duality that without a doubt exists in everyone. Maybe I can stand a chance if I embrace both parts. Now, the Caveman video is phenomenal. The battle weapons are like, I think they released like 10 short videos of maybe like 30 to 60 seconds of them. Yeah, so how about we give the Caveman video a wee play? We can get a wee drink top up, pop to the toilet if needs be. I definitely know I can get away with playing that. Tom's been a previous guest on the show, and we didn't have any YouTube didn't shut us down or anything for that the following day and take the video offline. So you cool with that, guys? We'll give Tom McGuire and the Brassos Caveman a wee play.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so that is. Can you remember what episode at all he was on your show? If anybody wants to check it out on YouTube, I'll find that link and give it a share. Or if you want to take your time throughout this, then give us a shout on the other side of the video. So thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. This is episode 16 of the 23 podcast show. With myself, your host David Blair. We're joined tonight by Paul Shields and Matt Diamond from Rebel City Podcast. It's a podcast, amazing, great podcast. It's been run since 2018. And we're about to watch Tom McGuire and the Brassos' new video for Caveman. We'll see you on the other side of this. Thank you very much.
I was born on the ocean. Years blissfully floated on the calm. Underneath the stars, the tide brought me to the line, and it smashed me with its stony hand. Graded me incessantly across the sand, but the beauty of the stars remained, forgotten from earthly pain. How good it would be to return to the sea. No communion between the light and me. Our love just don't want me. I wanna live. Strive, gonna take care of me. It don't feel right while I'm out in the sun. I always look over my shoulder towards the cave where I belong. No one wants to hear about the tears of a clown. You can't accommodate 2 times to getting down. Maybe I can stand a chance of facing both sides. Why did the cave me the first time around? A place I was afraid of when I look around. No use to fear the cave, it's just the same place. It's the man that retreats there, and I gotta say, I will live. But to love, I'm sometimes like in the light all the time. I wanna be alive, yeah, like I did when I was young. I try, I might remember these days as the best I've ever had. Well, when this fever biggest hold on me, will I never be free? Will I never? Hey, I got love, and my love is there for me. It's unfolded now, and I know it now, that the cave is a part of. And no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't be free. No, I can't, no, I can't, 'cause the cave is a part of me. I know I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't be free. I know I can't, no, I can't, 'cause the cave is a part of me, a part of me. The cave is a part of me, a part of me. It's a part of me.
And we're back. The screen has also moved. Matt, you've jumped down to the bottom. How did that happen? No, it's just went to a wider view there with the camera. I forgot about that actually. So, what do you prefer, that or that?
Whatever.
What? Easy. So that was Tom McGuire in the Brassholes with Caveman. I'll give their video a share there in the comments, and check out their YouTube channel. Lots of phenomenal videos on there.
Dynamite tune, man. It could almost be like a pure Bond theme with a pure drama in it, man.
It builds. It's definitely there's an epicness to it. I'll also give, for those of you who don't know Tom McGuire and the Brassholes, a phenomenal funk and soul powerhouse from Glasgow. I'll give their Facebook a share in the comments too.
Was it Parliament they booked a gig with recently?
Yeah, they were doing it. Was George Clinton's. I think George Clinton's 70-something. It was going to be George Clinton's farewell tour, playing all the sort of Parliament and funkadelic hits and stuff like that at the Academy.
That's something for them, man. That's like,
I know,
the grandfather of what they do. You know what I mean?
Totally. There was some comments. No, it's supposed to. I think it's supposed to be this Saturday actually.
What, man?
Obviously, it's been postponed. I've not even seen a new date being given for it yet. But I know. Aye, so many. I mean, it's just like one of the things. Like you've got your whole pandemic variable changing things, and then it's whether or not who knows like what George Clinton's health is like, and independent of like coronavirus or COVID or anything. But what if that was to be moved to next year? Like, is he going to be all right to do it? Do you know what I mean? I was lucky enough to see him in the ABC. I think the last time he played in Glasgow a few years back. And I think he had 3 generations of his family on stage with him.
Nice.
I know. And there was, it was just like, it was the family. It was about 20 on stage, I think, at one point. And they played for like about 3 hours and 15 minutes, maybe. Like my calves were sore from bouncing up and
Pure
down.
Springsteen territory.
Oh, I totally. I mean, you think of the back catalogue that he's got to go through, and he was having to have a wee sit down on the drum riser from time to time and stuff like that as well. But Roddy's flinging him another towel just to let.
This is the thing, you've got to be careful because I went to see James Brown one year at Tea in the Park and was like absolutely buzzing to see, you know, this legendary sort of soul acting.
Was that 2005 by any chance?
It
might have been in that ballpark.
It was 2005, 2005 or 2006. So.
It was. I was there. I remember. It was in the King Tut's Wawa Hut tent.
It was in the tent. I remember standing about for hours waiting, and then I think he was an hour late on stage. He came out. His band were absolutely dynamite, like phenomenal, like, and they were playing for a good like 5 minutes. And he'd come out, and he went to the mic and went, "Huh," and then was back half the stage again for another 10 minutes. And it was like there was a lot of that going on. It was pretty disappointing. So I think maybe some of the older artists have got to think that, you know, when's the right time to jack it. James Brown, didn't he?
The hardest working man in showbiz. Thank you, Bob. Bob's been quick off the mark there. Georgie's health is good. Seen him bouncing on trampoline a couple of days ago via Instagram. Legend. I just found George Clinton's Instagram there, so I'll give that a wee share there in the comments if any's want to start following the funk legend that is George Clinton of Parliament Funkadelic. On a trampoline. I remember that. I distinctly recall that Tea in the Park that year because Liverpool had just won in the Miracle of Istanbul, and my third favourite band of all time, Interpol from New York, they were on right before James Brown in that King Tut's Wawa Hut tent that year. So I was in for Interpol, and then I went, well, I'm here now, so I may as well stick around for some Brown, just to say I've seen him.
That's kind of. I think I hung about for half an hour and then I bunked to watch the Foo Fighters because Foo Fighters just, you can't go wrong with them if you're watching them live. I mean, they're banging 100% of the time. So I was trying to salvage my night at that point.
Did you see that kind of collaborative Stay at Home cover of the Foo Fighters song? All the various musicians, Simon Neil, Biffy Clyro and stuff like that doing it. Have you seen that?
I've seen that. No, I've seen it on YouTube.
Well, I've forgotten the name of the song.
Dave Grohl doing My Hero.
Times Like These.
Key workers.
Times Like These. That's the one. So they just a lot of pop stars, Paul, wasn't it?
Aye, man. There was a lot of people that I didn't know. I'll be honest. Obviously, guys like Simon Neil, you're like, right, cool. There's a guy for Biffy Clyro, and obviously Dave Grohl. But then there was a load of them. I was just like, I'm getting the idea who that is. I tend to find that that's the case when I watch anything that's sort of pop nowadays. I'm just like, not a clue, not one clue. And then when I see their name, I'm like, I don't know, it sounded like I make a car, like that fucking Dua Lipa or whatever. Like, it just, I'm like, I don't, and then I see the person and I'm like, I'm getting the idea, absolutely the idea. But it definitely went down a lot better than the Imagine attempt went down for the Hollywood actors.
Yeah,
it was so cringe, man.
That was well butchered. That one, wasn't it? I mean, I suppose it's just like from a Hollywood A-list actor's perspective as well. Like you're singing "Imagine No Possessions," which I suppose fairly in some quarters was an accusation levelled at John Lennon, but. obviously the Beatles were the most successful band in the world, so it wasn't as if at the end of that he wasn't going to be rich. And he obviously, exactly, he obviously did do as much, if not more, than many people around the time to support as many good causes as he could. And him and Yoko obviously donated a lot of money and helped out a lot of good causes as well. In terms of playing benefit concerts and all the rest of it and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I think the sentiment of what John was singing, imagine no possessions, it's easy if you can. Well, I think all those Hollywood actors and actresses, they've obviously made a lot of money from their craft. But I think nowadays with the internet, I think just in general, there's just a reluctance to give anybody the benefit of the doubt for anything now. It's just we just dive in without knowing a backstory and make so many accusations.
I think the guys that did the Imagine thing for giving rise to this week's winning tweet was, I seen somebody as the whole thing in America broke out tweeting, "I can't wait for Gal Gadot's version of Fuck the Police," and I was like, right, that guy has won the internet this week, but that was literally the only good thing to come out yet. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's a good one. I'd seen a shared post or a tweet or whatever it was, but I believe in one of the cities where the riots were happening, they'd managed to hijack into the police CBE, so they were actually playing NWA's "Fuck the Police" over it.
Not one, I disrupted.
I completely missed that. That's so good.
Got to admire their ingenuity. Talking of music again, with tomorrow being Music Industry Blackout Tuesday, which we will be showing our support and respecting as well. Thanks again to Darren Connell for agreeing to reschedule tomorrow night's show. We'll get another date for that, definitely. On Wednesday, I'm going to be joined by a few of the guys from Glasgow St. Pauli. They've organised they've organised the Lockdown Sessions, an online festival in support of Scottish Refugee Council and Refugee. We actually had Selena from Refugee came on, joined us on a previous show as a surprise special guest with the Renains. Selena's a good pal of ours through our Samba Yabamba history that a lot of the band have. So we've known Selena before she set up Refugee, and obviously she's done some amazing things with that.
Absolutely.
So hats off to the guys from Glasgow St. Pauli, because that is an absolute phenomenal lineup. Gary, Pete and Joe are going to be on. I mean, look at some of the names that are on that, from amazing local talent here, right up to Billy Bragg, who curates and compares the left field stage now at Glastonbury Festival. And so he's been associated for a long time. Declan Welsh, amazing song called No Passaran. She Drew the Gun. So many great songs, and sort of one of my last favourite singles of theirs being Resistor. I actually noticed, I mean, they've been very topical and on point today with the music that was being played on Six Music, which I dip in and out of certain shows on that to listen to. They were playing a lot of Rage Against the Machine, like Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, and it was all very much in solidarity with what's going on at the moment as well. And they were really, that was the first place I heard about this Music Industry Blackout Tuesday, with Matt Everett talking about it on the news. So it's great to see that. I mean, and part of me is surprised because it's a BBC radio station that they're so
the best of them though.
Well, but it's like when you're talking about being a state propaganda arm in many ways, when even the Prime Minister of our country isn't tweeting anything at the moment in any form of support. But Good to see
How
you.
long did it take them to come out to fucking tweet their bullshit about Cummings? So it took them about fucking 13 seconds or something, didn't it? And they all tweeted at the same time. Like a fucking orchestrated tweet, and then we've had absolutely nothing for them about this. Yeah. Absolutely disgusting that these people actually are supposed to be your representatives, you know what I mean? That's what's mild disgusting. People going to look back at this and just be like, fucking, we can't just sit back and do nothing about this. Something needs to be fucking done.
I think just to touch on the event, Love Music Hate Racism, we had the guys for Glasgow and Polly and what would almost certainly been this time last year when they were building up to it. Absolutely dynamite organisation, a great bunch of guys, and like I know they put a lot of work in with Refugee Council and Refugee, which again we had Selena in as a guest as well, and just blown away by what that organisation achieves. Like they're an absolute like credit to the entire city, and like one of the ones that we really enjoyed sort of getting in. So like best
and
of
they're still active as well.
Yeah,
still active. I'm still taking donations, and I went down and donated because I work in retail, and when they shut up the shop in March, there was just like 10 weeks worth of toilet roll and coffee and tea, and it was all just going to like long life milk and stuff sitting in the shop. It was all just going to go off, so I took it down to them. But they're still taking donations. I think is it no down at the south side,
yes.
The old
FOP. Well, they've moved into the old FOP on Byers Road. I've just given Refugee's Facebook page a share in there. In the comments, if you want to go and check it out. From when Selena was on, I actually kept in a couple of the graphics for their appeal. So just to let you know who Refugee are, Selena coined a new neologism and a new noun, a person who upon arrival in Glasgow is embraced by the people of the city, a person considered to be local. We're all from somewhere. This is very true. And their appeal at the moment is so help that they can put out is they can deliver support packages to you or someone you know for the following: toiletries, food, shopping, meals, entertainment, toys, board game, books. So those are the kind of things that they're also looking for as well. And this service is open to everyone. So you can text PAC to the mobile number there, which you'll find on their Facebook page, which I've just shared. When Selena was on, like one of the things that she'd mentioned, if you had any old board games or anything, like during lockdown, obviously some of the new arrivals in the city are having to spend an unnatural, certainly pre-lockdown, an unnatural amount of time indoors, maybe without a TV, maybe without internet. That kind of thing as well. So if there's anything you can do to help Refugee, check out their Facebook page there. That's the appeal that they've got. They can help anybody that you think might need some assistance in and around the Glasgow area. Just go and check out what they're doing. They're a great organisation doing great things.
I think they testify to like how hard they work, not just as well as being open during the pandemic. Like when we discussed, notions of like the Rebel City, like we want to talk about organisations like Refugee that are just ordinary people who are out there just going, no, fuck that, I'm not taking that anymore. Like, I'm going to go and do something about that. And Refugee were actually one of the first organisations that we approached, and they were, keen. But I think just how hard they actually work at what they do made it, in the beginning, almost impossible to actually get Selena in for a chat. I think we've been running about a year before we finally managed to get it done. So, like, the power of work we put in is absolutely phenomenal, man. Like, they're amazing.
Mm-hmm. Incredible.
Yep, definitely. 100% agree with that. I'd like to give a shout out as well to there's one of the only tenant still trading at the moment in the Barras Market. Again, it's just a small startup company. Sarah Nasir and Aaron Blackwood are called This Is Makers, and they've got a laser cutting machine. Now, when they started out, it was obviously kind of like to create a maker's space, like a creator's space for anybody that had some ideas about things that they wanted to make with a laser cutter, and they could come in and they could collaborate with them and use their laser cutter, because it's a very expensive piece of machinery. And once the once lockdown started, and we were being told, or it was becoming apparent, just how drastic a shortage of PPE there was, or lack of, for our health and care workers. They sort of like they reached out to our local NHS, Greater Glasgow and Clyde or something like that, health, and another couple of organisations out in Paisley, and they got the blueprint to make the PPE safety visors to protect themselves. So they basically repurposed, remodeled everything that they were doing, because the business was in effect shut down. But they put out an appeal. They smashed their GoFundMe target. It was initially $2,000, I think they're looking for. They got like 1.5 very quickly. Then they went over the 2K. They were able to buy enough materials to make about 2,500 of these PPE visors. And I went in, did a wee bit of volunteering with them just to keep myself busy at the start of this, and was out sort of like delivering them as well to some of the people who had requested them. Like the first one went to my pal's wife's care home, who had already had 5 COVID deaths and they had no PPE whatsoever. So it's so many times it comes back to just like good people in the community who just go like, as when he's just said there about Serena, like, nah, it's just like we need to draw a line in this. Like, enough is enough. I can't take this anymore, and that mobilises them and that gets them active to do something about it. So if you know any health or care workers that need PPE safety visors, you can still order them and they're for free. A donation of 50p would make one as well if you do wish to donate. So I've just given a share to the This Is Makers website in the comments if you want to check that out. As I said, like, vitally important just now. Like, we don't know as we ease out of lockdown, depending on what happens. Like, obviously there's been a lot of talk around like the second and the third waves of the Spanish flu, for example, a century ago, where were worse than the first wave. We just don't know what's going to happen. But personally, for me, I would like to see everybody who's a health and care worker and anybody who needs one of these PPE visors get one, and they are for free, so you can order them from the website. So please feel free to give that a share. It's there in the comments.
That's amazing work for the guys, man. Like, it's just what I love about Glasgow. It's the way people just, mobilise around issues and around causes and around each other, and actually like pull together and get like meaningful shit like that done. I mean, that's 2,000 visors. It doesn't sound like much in the grand scheme of things, but like that's potentially life-saving for the people that have went and used them. You know what I mean? And that's just been all the people going, right, what can I do? What can I do? And I think if we talk about the solutions that are going to get us back to normal, or what our new normal is going to be on the other side of this, like, we need to give time and space to these types of people who are actually going, no, there's a better way. Like, there's something else we can do, and just get out the road. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, agreed, 100%. I mean, the visors for me, it's when I just think about what my pal's family, whose wife got them. But if their care home already had 5 COVID deaths, then his wife is under very direct and serious threat of catching it and bringing it home and infecting him, infecting their Wayne. And I know we're talking about, like, obviously, medically it's affecting everybody different, and then you're getting people who are like asymptomatic to it as well, and are then just carrying it, but seem to be okay with it, and others who have like the underlying health problems and all the rest of it. But if we don't, I mean, that's why for the first time in our lifetimes we've been on lockdown.
Yep.
Staying at home because of an actual pandemic. So it's still quite hard. I mean, like, on a daily basis, like, sometimes yourself, guys, like, you maybe just get into your wee bubble of just thinking about something else, and you zone out of thinking about just how the enormity of what's going on at the moment.
Yeah,
aye, man.
I think that's a bit of a coping mechanism.
Aye, man, I think so as well. I think that there's just that. I think we'll look back and we'll probably not even be able to explain what it felt like. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think when you're in the eye of the storm like this, it just kind of happens, and you don't think about it being this big, massive, grand thing, but it absolutely is. Like, this is going to change. I mean, if you think back to the last time something like this magnitude or something that changed things, I feel like that sort of point, we have these points in history. You're talking about like 9/11, and when that happened, nobody was sitting about going, we will talk about this forever. There's going to be so much like conspiracy that comes off this, and like an economy around it, and the way that it will be used to sort of, I don't know, like political battering ram. It will be like this symbol, like that they'll politicize, and you were just thinking, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, a plane has hit into a building in New York. Like, I've got no idea what I think we're all just living through confusion. And that's the only way that you can explain people that are actually, like, just going, fuck it, I don't care. I'm just going to try and go about my life. And I mean, even when you experience it on a daily basis, you go to, like, Tesco and there's somebody just charging up and down. They clearly don't have the capacity somehow in their mind to go, I need to take care of myself here. It needs to be social distancing, and I need to stick to these rules. They're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to, and it's got to be just pure confusion that people just, they can't get their head around it, because it is like ridiculous, like you're saying, that we potentially face a second wave in a few months that's way worse than what we've just experienced. To think of that is like, you can't even imagine it. Just like if you were to go back to December 2019 and imagine that we'd be sitting at the 1st of June. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've been in lockdown for like 12 weeks. You would be like, no chance, absolutely no chance.
Yeah. Well, I think we all believe it's going to be 3 weeks when they told us 3 weeks, didn't they? I'll be back in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like 3 months later, you're like, you know, we're still not there. Like, I think if you're going to like use the 9/11 comparison, like, you know, when you see planes hitting buildings, I was 18 at the time. I do remember thinking to myself, shit, man, the world has changed. Like, but I don't think I thought anything wider, as you say. And I think in the beginnings of this, especially when we were talking about it, we took the choice not to involve guests in the first couple of weeks of lockdown, just because we just didn't know how it was going to work, and we didn't want to ask anybody to take any risks for the sake of podcast. So we were just talking amongst ourselves, and I think even in the early weeks, both of us were of that opinion. We were like, do you know what? Like the world has changed. Like, I think I'd said something along the lines of, you know, on the second week of lockdown, that we talk about getting back to normality, but I don't know that the world we've came for in the last 12 weeks even really exists anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be about a new way forward rather than getting back to where we were. You know what I mean? Or I'm hoping so anyway.
Well, on that note, there was an image which I'd seen being shared, which I've been occasionally just putting up as the cover photo on my Facebook, and it's this: are we really waiting for a return to normal, or are we ready to build something different? And in so many ways, like pre-lockdown, pre-pandemic, there weren't many aspects of, like, just when you talk about, like, so maybe just like the global socio-economic and environmental important issues. So what's normal about that? I think there's another quote as well, which is, it's no measure of sanity to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society, or sick system of economics.
We're all victims of Stockholm syndrome on a global level. You know what I mean? Like, we've become so used to the abuse that this system generates towards us that we've normalised it. You know what I mean? Like, is there an element of society that we were happy with unequivocally as a nation before this? You know what I mean? No, we were divided. We were arguing about everything. Like, everything was polarised. Everything was politicised. Like, do you want to get back to that? Can we not maybe use this to go, well, hold on, how do we change this? Because I can't think back to the world that existed 13 weeks ago and think of many things that I want to take with me going forward. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of how our political system works, how our economies work, how we approach our mental health, our physical health. Like, you know, all of these things were massive, massive issues all across the world before this, and I'm like, why would we want to go back to that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it.
I know.
I don't get
agree.
it. I don't get it either. There's people like begging to go back. Like, I mean, that's really the whole sort of UK government and I suppose American government as well, US government policy on this has just been to try and prop up a system that seems to be failing. And I think we did that in 2006 and 2008 as well. And I mean, if you really want to live in, or if you really, the great paradox of all this is that people think that the radical left, and look at Trump's language and the radical left, and socialism and communism is like the worst thing that's ever happened. What we did with the banks bailing them, it was the biggest socialist policy that had ever been done on a global scale. We get a meritocracy and a competitiveness to the lower end of the spectrum, but when it comes to the upper end of the spectrum, they'll take socialism. Richard Branson was begging the British government for it, like bail us out. Like, you're a fucking billionaire, dude. Like, put some of your own money into your own business and stop coming and asking.
Flying shit in his face. He's flying like test flights to space while he's asking the government for 900 million quid. Like, he's having a laugh. Like, we can't go on with that.
To go back to the point is that we're propping up failing systems, and we need to really change. Like, we need to change. It's almost like this weird thing that the planet's like forced us on us through a pandemic is like, you need to change now, like, because the change has been coming for so long that it's been ridiculous. Like, we just need to stop injecting this dying system with more money and causing more pain, and actually like do something productive. But it doesn't look like it's coming anytime fucking soon, especially when the people that we've got in charge.
Quite right, aye. There's Nigel over in LA. Thanks for tuning in, Nigel. Normal is just the setting on a washing machine. Quite right. Enjoying tuning into the show. Hello, David, Paul, and Matt. Thanks for tuning in, Nigel.
Hi, Nigel.
Bob, why would you want to wait in a McDonald's takeaway queue? Yeah, quite right.
We touched on this with the coffees, didn't we?
Aye,
it's queuing 40 minutes for a coffee. It's like warm water.
Aye, is this like the Costa drive-throughs like reopening or something?
45 minutes.
It's funny what we consider essential, isn't it?
I know, I don't get that. I remember Nicola Sturgeon had tweeted in, she was like, listen, I don't think waiting 45 minutes in a queue for a coffee is an essential journey. Fair point. So just in terms of...
they had to have it harder on the Costas of the world. Like, why were they fucking open? Like, bigger questions. Like, instead of like, there was a whole... There seemed to be a shift on sort of personal responsibility and expecting people to make the right decisions when we know that isn't going to happen. Like, they should have come down harder on these places. Like, guys like Ashley that tried to keep Sports Direct open, saying that selling trainers was essential for, like, no, fuck off, mate. Like, you've got
that guy, man.
The chief exec of Pure Gym out going, we're essential for people's well-being. It's like, listen, you can paint your greed any way you want, but at the end of the day, it's shining through. But they had to come down harder on these people, and they didn't do it. Like, the whole lockdown thing's been an absolute shambles from start to finish. They never actually... It was always lockdown light. It was crazy, and the coming situation just made an absolute mockery of it as well. So they've got a lot to answer for, and I think even the Scottish government have got a fair amount to answer for as well, in terms of what was going on.
Police Scotland were lifting people at home this weekend who come up from England. You know what I mean? Like, this is what the Cummings thing has kind of unleashed, is that there's multiple people around Scottish beauty spots, and when they were questioned by people, you know, who challenge them why they're there, they'll always drop up from England, and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the First Minister of Scotland on every platform going, Scotland is locked down, do not come here, it's only an easing of measures. Couldn't be more clear, more emphatic, but because the, you know, buffoon down in number 10 repeatedly refuses to say his advice is only for England, where, you know, as I say, the lockdown is completely ineffective. People think it's cool just to drive up to Loch Lomond for the weekend.
I know. Madness. Absolute madness. And in terms of just like round about where you guys are living then, as we've sort of moved into this phase of reopening, is there anything like any significant changes you've seen in terms of things reopening around? Aye.
Well, not so much businesses, just people. I mean, what day is it? It's Monday. Like, I've just completely lost track of what day it is. But yesterday, it was like a normal Sunday on Great Western Road at the Botanics, Byers Road. It was like a normal sunny Sunday. No different. I mean, obviously there's reduced businesses, but the park. I mean, I went out of the park at like 6:30 this morning for my walk because I'm just avoiding. I'm getting up early and going and getting my steps in because I just want to avoid the crowds. It was a disgrace. I mean, the amount of rubbish. It was like a bank holiday Monday, like the day after a bank holiday Monday. So, that's a shame to see. Like, really is. It's been any excuse, hasn't it? That's it. They've just been waiting for it, and this is what we're going to see. I think as the other measures come in, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
I think the weather's played a part in the last week up my way.
Absolutely, right.
My street's been pretty deserted, and I'm immediately on Royston Road. I'm on one of the busier streets, pretty much in Glasgow. Throughout the lockdown, it's been about 28 days later. At one point, I was out the front of the house, and I was saying to Paul, outside at the front of the house having a smoke, because I don't smoke in the house, and a deer just wandered by me on Royston Road, and you're like, okay. So it was really quiet, but I think when the sun came out, that street out there was like a festival car park. Like, the car wash opened, the Indians opened, they're in there, but there's a lot of traffic in out the car wash on a day-to-day basis, and there's like 5 guys running about with hoses. There's no PP, there's no gloves, there's no nothing. It's just, I think the weather has, as the rains come back again, it's died off. So I think the minute the sun comes out, people are just like, oh, fuck it. You know what I mean? They're too cooped up and just can't stop themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's human nature as well, isn't it? That's what we're up against with this. And what they're even talking about it. So, I mean, what the app that they've been talking about, I heard Matt Hancock on the news earlier on talking about that being rolled out in England for like contact tracing and all of that kind of thing. And
they launched an app that doesn't exist.
So how many people are going to get engaged with that? And
are you going to line up to give the guy who was basically the mind behind Vote Leave your personal data? Like, I know it's only in England in that respect, like the Scottish government's one is slightly different, but like, this guy has made his career manipulating data. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to actually just go, here's all my personal sensitive health information? Like, I certainly wouldn't. Like,
I know, definitely. Definitely. There's Nigel saying, and who can tell you what is essential? You've got a curfew in LA, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. all essential. People are allowed to go out. I'm going to go to the studio to make music. It is essential to me, Feckham.
How do they keep a curfew? I mean, but LA, it's like, what, 9 million people or something like that? Something crazy. Like, that's insane, man.
Well, let us know, Nigel. Is it LA? I think from memory, you'd said it was LA when you'd been on one of the previous shows. Bob's making reference to grinding gears there. Yes, we have a wee part of the show sometimes where we bring up the old Peter Griffin, what really grinds my gears. I think there's a lot grinding our individual and collective gears at the moment. It's just you think of 2020 so far. We started off fucking Australia and the Amazon were on fire. Then there was something that was just fucking more mental than that. Well, that was also like being force fed in like the Western media. And did you watch Charlie Brooker's?
Aye.
What was it called again? Something wipe? Antiviral wipe.
No, I missed that.
I love Charlie Brooker. I watch Black Mirror, Dead Set. I've been following his stuff for absolutely years. But Screen Wipe and all the various wee bits and bobs, I'm all them, man. Like, they're dynamite.
You should definitely check out his last one, Antiviral Wipe, because it's basically been all about this. I'm just going to give Charlie Brooker, we'll give it a wee Maybe iPlayer link I share.
Is it on BBC?
Comments.
I think it's
it
on
was,
iPlayer, aye.
I don't watch
It
the
was.
iPlayer.
Do you not?
Just in case, just in case the somebody for the TV licensing's tracking my IP address or something through this. Like, I don't watch BBC iPlayer.
That's fair enough. I can
But
understand
I'll be
that.
checking out that. But I'll be checking out that Charlie Brooker thing. I'll just start.
Aye, what's good? I was actually watching, talking a podcast, I was watching the last Joe Rogan that Elon Musk was on, and Musk was talking about how so he's got this Neuralink brain implant that in 5 to 10 years is going to do all sorts of things in terms of changing the neurocircuitry from people who are blind, they'll be able to see, if they're deaf, they'll be able to hear. He's even saying like quadriplegics would be able to just restore full motor functions back to their body, etc., all just from a brain implant. And he then mentioned, it starts off as that, and then Rogan's questioning him further, and he's trying to take it to its in his mind, like the kind of like the dystopian playing out of where it would go, and he's so
Project 2045.
Yeah, he's so like when would you then have like the full AI human interface? Then he says, that's about 10 years away. And he's like, so I mean, like what's the capabilities of the Neuralink brain implant? Well, I suppose in effect, if you're going to Japan and you wanted to speak Japanese, it's Bluetooth operated in terms of like just being recharged and stuff like that. He says, so you just go on, you just download the program for Japanese, and then that's it. You'd then be able to speak. So I just like the Matrix. It's if you've not seen it, I'll give the YouTube video.
I watched it. I watched it.
Did you see it?
Aye, and I've
He's actually advocating for putting a chip in your head that you charge, so that what you can blink and open your garage door. Like, what is that about?
No, well, if you listen to like Elon Musk talk about it, it sounds like it's going to be like revolutionary. It's going to change basically like what David's saying. Like if you could be like deaf and they'll be able to allow you to hear. If you're paralysed even for the neck down, they'll be able to like you'll get restored all motor functions. You'll be able to like improve people. Like you could get them to run faster, jump higher. Like this type of stuff.
But what will actually happen is that people just drill their iPhones into their brains in the form of a chip now, right?
Well, they were talking about how they put it into your head and stuff like that. It was freaking me out a wee bit. I was like, and then there's like wires that come out of it and it goes into your brain and basically just sends the signals to your brain. So it's just like a wee tiny chip that sits at the top of your head. But these wires will go in and make contact with areas of your brain, and it'll be able to stop addiction.
I'm 100% out, man. Like, no chance.
I know. It's insane. But I've got a feeling that he's full of shit as well. Like I don't quite believe that this guy is as smart as what he said something once on. I think it was on the first Joe Rogan when he was like, got a lot of smart people that work for me. Like I come up with these sort of creative ideas and then they bring them to life. I think this is just, he's been saying that this Neuralink thing's 18 months away for like the last 5 years. And I just think it's going to be like a bit of it'll never happen. I'm sure shit like that will happen eventually, but whether or not it's 5 to 10 years down the line.
Massive like biohacking communities all around the world already where people are already integrating technology with their bodies, and it's all like chip and pins and house doors, but it's all in your extremities. Nobody's drilling holes in their skull, you know what I mean? Like, but it's quite a big community around the world that are doing this already.
I think it will probably start with some kind of lens. I think the first one that goes like sort of, it'll be like some kind of contact lens that goes on. I think that might be the first step before people start putting chips in their brains. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you're worried about data and giving data away or potential hacking, I don't think giving Elon Musk access to your brain's a good idea. Just my personal opinion.
He's got a website for Neuralink, which Neuralink.com. If you're interested, I've shared the Joe Rogan episode that he was on talking about it and our website as well. So Nigel had replied there. Yes, Los Angeles is huge, and the police are the biggest gang here. They are now being supported by the National Guard to enforce the curfew and going to start selling. Can't read it. Nero costumes.
So like, this is the type of thing where we've got no idea. I had absolutely zero idea that basically the army's on the streets of LA keeping people in their house from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Like, why? What's going on there?
Well, do you know? I shared, reshared the tweet that you put out about that. Like, they've got a child militia that were part of the National Guard. And what state was that again? What you tweeted it? That was mental.
I can't remember the state. I'm assuming it must have been wherever Minneapolis is.
So
Minneapolis was the flashpoint.
Aye, so that's on your Twitter timeline, isn't it? I wonder if I could. Right, I might actually be able to.
Stuff like, shit sci-fi, like movies about the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if I shared the screen of Twitter is probably in an agreement that their Twitter content would probably be a copyright infringement if I was to share that on the StreamYard. But I mean, just to explain it, I mean the tweet was from Atlanta has deployed a child militia at Lenox Mall fitted with riot shields and batons. What the actual fuck is going on? So the actual, man. I know what children like. They were actual. You can see them. They're actual veins. What I'll do is, can I share the link? Copy link to tweet. There we go. So I'll share the tweet link in the comments. You can check that out.
One of the ones where, as you say, 2020 has been rough, but I didn't realise it had been child soldier rough. You know what I mean? And that was an eye opener, man.
I know. There's Grant McCabe in the comments. How you doing, Grant? Thanks for tuning in. G. Dido Harden is the main player involved in the track and trace app. She was in charge of Talk when the data of over 100,000 plus customers was stolen. Sign me up. Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
There you go.
I know. Thanks, Andy. I thought it was cool being able to get a microchip in your hand in order to pay for things in shops. I think it's Sweden or something. They have this already, but a brain one. Well, yeah, it's definitely it's not outside the realms of science fiction now as starting to
discuss. Imagine a lot of the stuff with that. You're just like walking around shops, just smashing your head into counters to buy for stuff.
Good to that.
There's Andy seen some videos. I seen them firing power bombs through people's front doors if they don't go inside, get in your house, your rockets. I know. Listen, I think what's happening just now in America is really just a logical conclusion of Trump being in charge. Really, I don't see it in any other way. Really,
it's hard not to. I mean.
It's hard not to agree. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's hard not to agree with that. Like, it really is. Like, when you put somebody, we were told as well, like, or they were told, you put somebody like that in charge of your country and bad things will happen and bad shit has happened. The virus seems to have just set like a fire underneath them for some reason. But the what's going on there, I mean, I'll just put my hands up and say I don't even know what the fuck's going on there. I'm fine. Do you know what I mean? Like stuff like curfews and army on the streets, and it's going to go bad. We're only seeing wee bits out.
I think Trump's maybe like. I think Trump's maybe the eye of a perfect storm in American political terms, because where they are the new as a nation has a huge part to play with the direction of the Republican Party in the last 30-40 years on things like abortion and the extreme Christian right. They have twisted the American political and judicial system to their favour by mobilising en masse to vote out every judge, every sheriff, every politician they didn't like, and it's taken them 4 decades. And Trump has come at a time when that Republican establishment had taken care of the House, taken control of the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and then the White House, and it's allowed Trump that essentially freedom to go and do whatever the fuck he likes, because it's all his guys underneath him. It's all his guys that are actually like holding the reins on what he should and shouldn't be able to do. So, he was always a sort of time bomb waiting to go off, but at the same time, this is almost the sort of crescendo a 40-year political war that the Christian right has waged in America as well.
Just whilst we've been talking during the course of this show this evening, my pal had sent me this picture.
See, to be fair, Hitler had a better hairdo.
Oh well, I mean, it's like if you didn't laugh, sometimes you would cry. It's absolutely crazy what's going on. I mean, they're still talking about the elections going ahead in the US in November. Nigel, you can let us know.
They can't avoid that. I think it's constitutionally mandated.
The perfect storm needed the puppets in place globally. Yeah, I mean, it's like we were. I don't know if you were on like sort of like earlier on from the start there, Nigel. We're not just blaming Trump. Obviously, Trump's a figurehead. But myself, Paul, and Matt are under no illusions about the hands that control the puppets, and that is why I did share the Frank Zappa quote earlier on. Government is the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex. There's no profit in peace. So, I mean, even Dwight D. Eisenhower, his closing final speech address that he gave to the nation after the Second World War was basically talking about how a military-industrial complex had built itself up over the previous decades, and he was basically calling that. He said it's at present, the greatest danger to the safety and security of the American people. And he was also foretelling, and that's the president who's obviously privy, like they obviously needed the help of the military-industrial complex to win the Second World, or be part of winning the Second World War. But when you have an entrenched military-industrial complex, then actually Gore Vidal wrote a phenomenal discursive essay about it called Perpetual War for Perpetual Peace. So the land of the free and all the other countries that have joined in, and obviously the UK has been there kowtowing as part of the coalition of the willing when they didn't get a Security Council mandate to lawfully or legally invade Iraq the second time round. So basically they broke the UN Security Council Convention to create the coalition of the willing, which the UK were a part of. But a military-industrial complex, it continuously needs war. It continuously needs to militarise the police, militarise a National Guard, whatever it needs to do. So it's absolutely like you would be blind to the machinations of power and politics if you didn't understand and accept that behind the scenes that Johnson is a puppet, clearly. Trump is a puppet as well, clearly. Like we know it's the big questions are what can we do about it at local, and national, and international levels.
And that's a hard one, because especially if you look at like the UK, you know what I mean, like Trident, for example, like military industry is a cornerstone industry for both economies. You know what I mean? Like, they're a huge influx of money that without they just have absolutely no idea how to replace it. So they just keep building more weapons and selling more in the world because it's what they've always done. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the Trident renewal at the moment is a very contentious subject for me, having been a member and activist with Scottish Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament for a while. as it should be for any sensible and rational person as well, because the CND analysis was looking at, I thought I had the graphic in my graphic suite, but I think I'd maybe taken it out. But you're looking at a cost to renew the overall programme over the lifetime of the programme at 205 billion. And the Office of Budget and Bureau Responsibility had put the figures on, like the furlough scheme at the moment was working out something like 7.8 billion per month. And now that you're looking at balancing the economics of, obviously, the Tories want the economy reopened as quickly as possible again, against the overriding health and safety of avoiding a second or a third wave, however many waves we get from it. So you're looking at something there that on the face of it doesn't even need to be renewed, even right now, because the proclaimed 220. Sorry?
I says, what good has it done? Is the two world-changing events that we spoke about in 9/11 and COVID, like, did nuclear weapons protect us for either of those things?
Exactly.
The two events that have changed the world in, the last 20, 30 years. It's a complete fucking, it's a 205 million billion pound paperweight. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, exactly.
I think we should just disarm nuclear weapons around the globe. Like, just be done with it. Like, why do we have them? What's the point? Is there anybody on the planet that's actually like, I would like to drop a nuke somewhere on the planet? Like, fuck off with it. Like, just disarm around the globe and get rid of it. It's such an expense. It costs so much money. It's literally like an industry in itself. And that's just a small example of money that could go again to just like helping normal people live a fucking happy life instead of going and being wasted on nuclear weapons. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's actually there's a new international treaty that's going through by the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. Scottish CND were actually part of the coalition who received the Nobel Peace Prize a couple of years ago, I think it was. So the ICAN, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, it's a global civil society coalition working to promote adherence to and full implementation of the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. And they helped bring about this new treaty. So they've been going around the various different countries of the world. There's a tipping point of a critical mass of the number of countries that they need to be signed up to it, which then will basically, in legal international treaty, it will circumvent the current Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is renewed every 5 years between the countries that openly declare that they have nuclear weapons, and then it's known Israel as a rogue nuclear state because it developed a nuclear weapons program in partnership with France, the UK, and the USA outside of this treaty, and they had a nuclear scientist, Mordechai Vanunu, who Greenpeace renamed their headquarters after down in London because he became a whistleblower and said, oh, actually, obviously there'd been a lot of international noise about Israel illegally outside of the convention developing nuclear weapons, and he basically came out as a whistleblower, and he's been a political prisoner in Israel since then.
This was after the mystery A-bomb test went off and they declaimed any credit for it, I take it.
Aye, exactly. Exactly. So I've just given
the same thing. So you see the same thing reflected. We touched on it this week, and even just when you look at the juxtaposition between the equipment available to healthcare professionals versus the equipment available to, police and law and order professionals, like there's guys running about the American streets dressed like RoboCop. You know what I mean? Like, but folk, in hospitals and care homes around the world are covered in bin bags. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a smaller example of the same thing. You know what I mean?
We lost you there for a second, Matt. No, you're totally right. I mean, it's I suppose it's analogous as well to when Maggie came in and she automatically, one of the first things she did was give the police a 15% wage rise, and did nothing for the NHS or the fire brigade because she knew how much she was going to need the police when it came to the miners' strikes and stuff like that. Thanks for tuning in, Will. Good night. Interesting stuff. Enjoy listening. Take care. You too. Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy, please. The gnomes always use the phrase health and safety. Andy's out in Helensburgh on the River Clyde. Faslane has had a huge social and cultural effect on the town. Yeah, totally. I've got pals that live in Helensburgh as well, and I remember not that long ago they were talking about the very drunk HMS naval soldiers who came in and just basically trashed a bar, absolutely bluttered, because they know they've pretty much got, for want of a better, for whatever the other phrase would be, diplomatic immunity in terms of they knew nothing would happen, and that's just the kind of like the piss poor attitude that they have towards the people there in the local town.
Not good. I'm going to call it a night, guys, I think.
Aye, I was just about to say earlier, that's us after the 2 hours mark. Yeah, I know you're still working at the moment as well, Paul, so I really appreciate your time. Thanks very much, mate.
No worries at all, mate.
Matt also, nice to see your faces again and have a catch up. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in tonight as well in the 23 Universe. This is the 23 Podcast Show, episode 16, with Paul Shields, Matt Diamond from Rebel City Podcast. I will give their YouTube channel just a final share in the comments. Please go and check them out. So everybody out there, Paul, Matt, any final words you'd like to say?
No, at all, man. It's been a great conversation, man. Aye, thank you for having us, man. It's been awesome.
Thanks very much. So everyone, take care out there. Stay safe. We'll be off tomorrow as we're going to be recognising the Music Industry Blackout Tuesday. Check out that if you want some more information on that. I'll share an article for that in the comments as well. We'll be back on Wednesday, 9 p.m, where we'll be joined by the guys from Glasgow St Pauli. We're going to be talking about the lockdown sessions, online festival, and support the Scottish Refugee Council and Refugee, and a lot more about the work they're on to. So take care, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you on the other side. Thank you. Good night.
Catch you soon, mate. Gents,